Large-scale heists seem like a Hollywood fantasy. I mean, no one is actually rappelling down from the ceiling for priceless jewels or getting the gang back together for one last job, right? You might be surprised at how often people are willing to risk it all for some shiny jewels. Usually the thieves are brought to justice, but sometimes, well, you'll just have to stick around and find out. Here are some of the most outrageous heists of the last century. It's one thing to steal a whole armload of jewels and artifacts, but what about an entire room? No, not a room full of artifacts, the whole room itself. That is exactly what the Nazis did during World War II. The list of stuff that the Nazis looted during the war is a long one, and the Amber Room in the Russian Catherine Palace is one of the most high-profile items on that list. Considered an eighth wonder of the world, it was built during the 18th century and resided in the Catherine Palace near St. Petersburg. The whole room was a piece of art, featuring gold leaf, gemstones, ornate architecture, and amber panels weighing hundreds of pounds. The room was lit with candles, giving the whole place a heavenly glow that the Nazis just could not resist. Although a reconstruction has since been made, the original room disappeared after the war, although some reports have surfaced of witnesses claiming that they saw it get loaded piece by piece onto a German military ship, which was later torpedoed and sunk. Next on our list is a heist that took a man named Leonardo Notarbartolo over a year to pull off. He rented an apartment across the street from the Antwerp Diamond Center and posed as an Italian diamond merchant in order to gain the trust of the staff. He and his crew surveyed the place for months, covertly taking pictures and mounting stealthy little cameras around the building and near the vault. A vault which, by the way, featured, among other security measures, infrared heat detectors, seismic detectors, Doppler radar, and a magnetic field. You know, just basic stuff. Like something out of Ocean's 11, the group allegedly practiced their heist with a full-scale replica of the vault so they could carry out their mission in the darkness of the real vault. Bags were placed over security cameras, polyester shields blocked the thermal sensors, and other genius tactics were employed during the heist to make sure they successfully made off with over $100 million worth of precious items. It was called the heist of the century and was one of the largest robberies in history. And they almost got away with it too, but it wasn't because of those meddling kids. It was because of a sandwich. Let me explain. A bag of poorly disposed evidence was found in the woods the next day by the man who owned the land and reported it to the police. Inside the bag, along with envelopes from the Diamond Center, was a receipt from a grocery store where Leo had bought a sandwich. Police used camera footage from the grocery store to ID him, and the boys got rounded up. Imagine thwarting a state-of-the-art security system only to get done in by a ham and Swiss. He tried to get that bread, but in the end, the bread got him. Our next entry is part heist, part rager, and it involves the Hope Diamond. The Hope Diamond has a story worth telling all on its own, but this particular chapter might be my favorite. At one time, the diamond was owned by Marie Antoinette when it was known as the French Blue. During the Revolution, the crown jewels and the royals were separated, as were the royals from their heads. The jewels, along with many other treasures, were locked up in the garde-meuble. I use the term locked up loosely here because one night, some of the more intoxicated revolutionaries got into the place and made off with a bunch of loot. It was so easy, in fact, that they came back the next night with some friends and they did it again. By the third night, some 30 plastered Parisians showed up with wine, music, and probably some cheese that smells like feet for another night of looting. The next morning, when the cops finally came to investigate, there were people inside the place passed out all over the floor. Thankfully, it was just as easy to recover the stolen gems as it was to steal them. The French Blue eventually resurfaced a few decades later in England. It had been cut down and reshaped to hide its true identity though, which is a shame, but at least we got it back. Lastly, we have a heist where the bad guys did get away with it, but at the cost of a diplomatic relationship. In 1989, a Thai gardener decided to rob the jewels of a Saudi prince. One day, while working in the palace, he made his way up to the prince's room and hoovered up about 200 pounds of jewelry, including a blue diamond bigger than the Hope Diamond. While he didn't literally suck up a ton of jewelry, he did hide it in the bag of his vacuum cleaner. And looking about as suspicious as a groundskeeper with a full vacuum, he strolled right out the front door. Now here's where things get really interesting. He immediately went home to Bangkok, where he redistributed the jewelry. Unlike the Hope Diamond, which was recut to hide its shadowy changing of hands, these jewelry pieces just started showing up on the necks and fingers of the wealthier folks in Thailand, completely unchanged, not even remounted or anything. It wasn't long before the Saudis noticed where their jewels had gone, and they wanted them back. When asking nicely didn't work, the wife and son of a Thai jeweler were kidnapped and, well, dispatched, if you know what I mean. Message received. Bags of stolen jewelry started showing up at police stations. Sometimes they were tossed out of the windows of moving cars. It was a mess. The Saudi royal family eventually got their stuff back, but something was off. The jewelry was all original, but the gems had been replaced with fakes.
It's false. No way. Not this time. We created it. It's totally made up. Pure fiction.
Somewhere out there are Thai families with beautiful sparkling skeletons hidden in their closets, and someone may still have that 50-carat blue diamond. This debacle left a stain on Saudi and Thai relations that remains to this day. They got away with it, but at what cost? That's all we have for today, guys. Tell me, what would you do if you found evidence of a large-scale diamond heist? Let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss out on future videos. Thanks for watching.